Hello and welcome. Want to go over with you the syllabus. I think it's really important that you know what um, I expect to have happen in this course. Um, the syllabus is already posted on your welcome page, so you can read along with me here, and you can certainly go back and look at it um, on your own. But I want to talk about how the course is structured and what I expect you to learn and why I think those things that I expect you to learn are important. So if you start here, you've got your catalog description. That's what's in the course catalog. I'm not going to spend much time on that. It's a long description, not one I wrote myself. Um, and it goes into a lot of detail, but the outcomes that show up below that are mine. And those are things that I think um, are key for you to take away from this course when we're done. So number one there, role of accounting, use of financial statements, and how accounting affects business operations and behavior at all levels. And I think the key there is the behavior factor. None of you, I don't expect, are planning to become accountants or finance professionals, though you never know. Life has strange twists and turns. But behavior, accounting and accounting systems have a big impact on behavior within organizations. It is the assessment system. It is the way that we tell whether we're winning or losing. And oftentimes in businesses, it's also the way that you are assessed within an organization or your department or whatever your responsibilities are. The assessment process uses financial data. So understanding how that works is a big part of what I hope you kind of take away from this course. In order to understand that, you need to understand some basic accounting principles. You need to know what accrual basis accounting is. Um, some of you probably would know what that is if you've had accounting or finance courses or have been in the business world for a while. Some of you may not know, but that word accrual is really important. What is accrual basis accounting? How does it work? We're gonna get involved in depth in that. You need to know basically what assets and liabilities and equity are, what revenue and expenses are, and what cash flows are. That's your basic accounting. So we're going to do some really basic accounting to begin the course, um, and then when we go further on, we'll get into some higher level um, accounting. Third thing that I hope you develop and take away from this course is the ability to take a financial statement and read it and understand it, and maybe be able to analyze it as well. So looking at a financial statement, what is this statement telling me? So you've got a balance sheet, you've got an income statement, you've got a statement of cash flows. Can you read it? Do you know what all the terms mean? And can you analyze it? Can you tell this document, what information this document is conveying? Um, that's a really important skill. You need to know how to do that in almost any part of the business world. So hopefully you get that from this course. So those first three things are all what we refer to as financial accounting. So financial accounting is taking information, compiling it, and disseminating it to outsiders so that they can tell what the financial position or the financial status of a company is. Those are all financial accounting tools. And so the first part of the course, we're going to spend on financial accounting. It's necessary to get grounded in financial accounting before you can use those numbers for other things. So financial accounting is historical. It's recording the past and then conveying that to people outside the organization, whatever the organization might be. So that's sort of where we're going to start. Then as we go forward, we're going to also learn some of the managerial accounting techniques. Managerial accounting is sort of the opposite of financial accounting. It's used just internally in a company, and it's used to or an organization, and it's used to make decisions about the future. So we take data compiled from the accounting system, and instead of using it to prepare financial statements, we use it to try to make rational decisions about the future. So financial accounting, where we've got historical data looking at the past. Managerial accounting, we've got the same data but manipulated in a different way to help us make decisions about the future. So things that managerial accountants do. Cost accounting is a big part of managerial accounting, probably the kind of accounting that I like the least. Personally, not big on cost accounting, very detail oriented, very precise, and kind of boring, I think, but that's just my opinion. But managerial accounting is also about budgeting. It's about capital budgeting, which is the decision making about large, long-term investments. Break-even analysis, variance analysis, internal control, all of those are things that managerial accountants do, and things that you probably will be quite involved with if you're at middle management or above, because managerial accounting is the things that is used to decide whether your project should get funded or not. That's a key part of any manager's job, to understand how the managerial accounting system works. And then finally, because this is a compendium, course is a compendium, we're going to spend some time on finance. And finance is essentially where we get our resources. Do we get our resources from investors? Do we get our resources by borrowing them? Do we get our resources by internal cash generation? How do we get our resources? Every organization needs resources. We have to find them somewhere, and finance is really about what kind of resources we use. We can borrow money, or we can find more equity investors. Which is the best thing to do? And in what situations do we want to do one type of financing or another? So those are the 5 goals for outcomes. Hopefully, with a successful semester, we'll reach all of those goals, and hopefully have a little bit of fun getting there. Other things, your textbook, I already sent you out an email relative to the textbook. The textbook is very much of a practitioner's textbook, not an academic textbook. It's a textbook written for people who get promoted into situations where they end up having to understand finance and accounting, and which is sort of the way I view the purpose of this course. So you need to understand finance and accounting, not be financial officers or accounting officers. So the textbook is there. It's available at the MMA bookstore. I'm sure it's also available from a variety of online sources. You will need it, and it's one of those textbooks that you may find useful to keep on your shelf, because it has a pretty good reference book when you run into issues that you don't remember or don't understand. You will need a computer, obviously. This is an online course, and you do have to have current Excel, PowerPoint, and Word programs. Please do not send me assignments with other spreadsheet and or Word documents, text documents. So Apple's programs or Google's programs, I want them in the Microsoft format, because I'm going to be able to then do track changes and so forth and send you back comments. So please use the Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word documents. We will have a fair amount of reading right away. You're going to have a short magazine article to read. So you have the textbook. I will assign some journal articles and some current magazine and newspaper articles. We'll also be looking at financial statements, which you'll access online, and there may be some case studies as well. Any of the publications beyond the textbook I will provide for you electronically, so you won't have other things to buy. During the course of the semester, we'll have 2 quests. Those of you who haven't had me before, I call my tests quests. Won't go into too much depth there, but some time ago a student said sometimes you call them quizzes and sometimes you call them tests. Why don't you just call them quests? It seems like it works, so that's what I use. So there will be 2, one halfway through the semester and one at the end of the semester. So you could think of them as midterm and final. If you want to think of them that way, that's fine. That's essentially what they are. There will be project assignments, and there'll be case studies. There may be some group assignments as well. All of those things are key parts of the course. There will be class and group discussions. You need to participate in those and participate in them with good content. You need to that is part of your grade. There is a participation grade in the course. So if you look there, your grading policy, you've got the 2 quests, you've got case studies, readings and problems, and you've got participation. So that should be fairly clear. My grading scales are there, and in a graduate course, anything less than a B- is considered a failure. So A through B- are what you should be targeting. If you're less than a B-, you're allowed one of those, I guess, in the course of your master's degree, and one C+ or C, but best not to get it now. Course outline. I use this textbook, but I do not go in the order of the textbook. So if you note that we start chapters 1 through 4, we go in order, and then we jump to chapter 20, and then we jump back to 13, and so forth. I do that because the textbook isn't organized the way I want to teach the course. So I'm teaching you pretty much financial accounting first, managerial accounting second, and then finance. So the textbook is organized in a slightly different manner. So we do jump around, but it seems to work pretty well that way. The chapter 2 there is not going to be taught, but it's something that if you need it, you should study it. It is a primer on Excel use, and if you're not comfortable with using Excel, it's important that you be comfortable for this course using Excel. So that's a self-study chapter. We will start with chapter 1 as the first lecture, and then we will go through from there. The way I structure my lectures, I will give you relatively short sections of lectures, somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and then have a series of 2 or 3 questions following the lecture, following that section of the lecture, which you have to respond to prior to going on to the next section. I try to structure it if you think of a live classroom where professor is talking to you and then sort of throws some questions out at the class to see what your understanding of what the concepts that have been discussed so far. So it's basically a virtual mimicking of what happens in a live classroom. So for any particular chapter, there may be 2 or 3 25 or 30-minute lectures and a series of questions. Those questions are not graded. You're not getting points for those questions. They're there to stimulate your thinking and also to allow me to understand whether you are getting the concepts. I can't look in your eyes and see if they're glazed over, so that gives me a sense of whether you're understanding the concepts I'm talking about. And if I'm getting a sense that you're not, I will either provide an individual with comments or maybe go over the concept again for the whole class if it seems like most people aren't getting it. So that's going to be the structure throughout the course. So you've got a variety of things there all through 14 weeks of fun in the sun this summer. That's the outline for the course. If you'll notice, week 13 is flex time because oftentimes I get a little bit behind. and that provides us with a little bit of flexibility to jump in, move things forward. I don't think we'll have any snow days, but you never know. So that gives us a little flexibility. The final quest 2, is on the entire course, but the primary focus will be on material covered since quest 1. So because accounting is a building block kind of course, there may be questions on quest 2 that refer to information from quest 1, from the first half of the course rather, but they're not really focused on that. They're going to be focused on the material from the second half of the course. Academic honesty, that's a pretty standard process in most syllabi if you've had other courses at MMA. You can read that through yourself. Turn it in. I might use turn it in on some of the case studies. Probably won't need to, but just know that I do have that ability. Turn it in is a program that has a huge database of other student work as well as journal work, so that if you're plagiarizing it, we'll find the similarities between what you've written and what's out there in the public domain. Tech support, there's some IT tech support if you're having difficulties with Canvas or some connectivity. And then the rest are other items of interest, accommodations, Title IX, all of those things. If you do have to miss some time, please let me know, and you're responsible for everything that happens if you do have to miss time. Hopefully none of you will. Approximately 3 weeks of reading and so forth outside of class for each hour in class is a pretty good measure. Please be active participants and be comfortable. Oh, I see a typo right there. Be comfortable communicating with your other students, not through me. You have the ability within Canvas to talk to your fellow classmates. If this was a live course, you would be doing that. So it's a virtual course. You're struggling with something, don't understand something, contact your fellow students, see if you can get some help from them. A lot of times you can learn more from them than you can learn from me. So make sure you take advantage of that. That pretty much wraps up the syllabus. We'll be starting with chapter 1 in week 1 here. So once you've read chapter 1, you can watch the chapter 1 lecture. Thank you.